Well, what's awesome about that is, I mean, we kind of mentioned it, is just your history in the business. So you understand what these dealers are going through and the challenges they face. And
yeah, you can understand the use case, because if you're going to go to engineers, they understand building something, but giving them the background on why you're building something, it's as simple as selling with features and benefits. I'm going to have the feature, but how does it benefit me? So when I tell people, why we built a feature, I give them the use case. I think that's important to understand the perspective.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stotts. Some of the best ideas, and speaking to an audience of entrepreneurs and business owners and independent businesses out there, the idea that so much of what you do is born out of some great ideas, and one idea that leads to something snowballs and results in a business, right? Those are some of the best, right? That's exactly the situation that DispatchTrack, one of our partners in the service realm, found itself in, and really its origin story. It's a really cool one. A couple of founders that realized the lack of transparency that existed in the delivery process for just a piece of furniture that they were trying to order resulted in them coming together with a bunch of partners and having an idea to really just streamline that process for the customer, for the retailer, and for the delivery teams out there to make life really just easier. And it resulted in an app being launched and a business being founded, and that business today is helping our servicers and retailers out there be more efficient. And while we were at Primetime in Vegas this past August, we sat down with one of the co-founders, Mr. Bob Bauer, to talk about the brand, talk about the background and that founding, and the sort of the pitch on what DispatchTrack does and how they've come together with Nationwide and our members to improve business, learn from the retailers out there, and continue to improve the product. And it's a cool story, one that like I said, it's got its heart is in sort of the independent business world, so they can relate a lot to what our retailers are doing, and awesome that it's a business as well that's able to support this channel and the work that you do on a daily basis. So let's dive into it. It was a really cool story, and one was looking forward to sharing out of Primetime, so excited to do it now. This is Bob Bauer, co-founder of DispatchTrack, here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, coming to you from Nationwide Marketing Group's Primetime event, and sitting down right now with Mr. Bob Bauer, co-founder of DispatchTrack. Appreciate you hopping over. Not too far of a walk, was it?
Not too far.
No? You close by?
I can handle that. I have to get steps in anyway, so.
Right. Well, the walk from the hotel rooms to the over here it does it for a day. We get our 10,000, that's for sure.
And I had to go to FedEx twice, so.
Oh, no.
Got a few extra ones.
No, that's awesome. Well, we appreciate you sitting down with us and diving into it. Nice to have you on the podcast.
Appreciate it.
How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Yep.
Awesome.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Love the Nationwide Marketing Group. They've always been very good to us.
Yeah, no, awesome to hear. And a part of the Service Leaders Network community of vendors and partners we have here at Nationwide Marketing Group. Before we dive into the company, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background and path through the industry.
Yeah, when I was 18, I got a summer job in the furniture store and doing the stock, setting up the displays and everything else, and finished college playing baseball, and went back to the store full time, and went into the warehouse, and I knew products, so I was running the racks trying to find stuff in a 100,000 square foot warehouse. So, and loading trucks and merchandising and sales and advertising. So I mean,
a history that's in the business. So what these dealers are doing.
I know what they're dealing
here.
with. I mean, that was general manager. I own my own 2 leather stores as well.
Wow.
And I traveled. A company called Leather Center was vertically integrated.
Yeah.
And we manufactured our own and delivered it and sold it out of our own stores. I mean, it was quite a operation. But then I went back to the furniture business. Mm-hmm. And then KB, who I've known since '93, another co-founder.
Yep.
Him and I, he was working with one of our customers, and they were trying to figure out a solution for, how could we help with a better delivery experience? Because we couldn't tell them when we were going to be there. I mean, you could do GPS on the truck, but it tells you what's going on with your truck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But not what's actually happened with the delivery and what have you. So 2010, he wrote us an app for tracking.
Yeah.
So we could actually see the tracking, but to also take pictures and notes.
Yeah.
And from a retailer's perspective,
yeah, one
picture done properly can save thousands.
Yeah, change the game.
I can't tell you how many hardwood floors I replaced.
No, that's crazy. So that's well, what's awesome about that is, I mean, we kind of mentioned it, is just your history in the business. So you understand what these dealers are going through 100%. And the challenges they face. And
when I say how many hardwood floors,
they know exactly what you're talking about.
I know exactly what they're dealing with. And walls, I mean, customers ask them to take 96-inch corner sofas down a basement or up a staircase. I mean, they're not flexible.
No, not one bit.
They don't bend corners very well.
No. So you mentioned the app. Is that kind of the origin for DispatchTrack?
That was the origin. That was the first solution we were trying to solve.
So you were building it for in-house. Is that right?
We were building it for either a delivery or an installer or a service technician to go actually be able to document what they did.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was really there to protect them and the company,
right? And
just have real-time visibility on what's going on.
Oh, that's awesome. So talk about the move then. How do you get to DispatchTrack?
So what? Well, KB sold them product. They got to talking, and he goes, Bob, I got something I'm working on, but I'll bring it to you as soon as we got something to work with. So they built an app in 60 days. A little background. Satish at 16 and a half was 147th employee of Microsoft, and one of 18 that wrote the mathematics to the Excel.
Right.
So that's our CEO.
Okay. He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. And his wife's also an engineer, and so she did product design and everything else. So it was the four of us, 2 retailers, 2 engineers. It was
coming
a great
together.
combination.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a really neat thing. Talk about that a little bit. That is a unique team. So bringing that together and some very unique minds in the room. How important is that?
Yeah,
to
we sat in the living room. We sat at Pete's. We sat at Starbucks, and KB and I did this for 2 years before we built the volume up that we could just go and do it full time.
So like legit startup mindset.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now, I mean, I'm jumping way ahead, but now we're in 30 countries and do 1 million stops a day.
Yeah. So what is DispatchTrack today? If you were explaining, what's the elevator pitch to a retailer here?
Yeah, I mean, the elevator pitch, take it back to the beginning. I mean, what we were trying to solve was not only that visibility, but we realized if we didn't integrate with the point of sale softwares, we really couldn't go anywhere, because routing had to be done too. So we built a routing platform, and a routing platform is built for the retailer industry.
Yeah.
So it's not like trying to take a routing platform and manipulate it for an industry.
Right.
Ours was designed for this industry.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a unique story to be able to tell to a member that's talking to you here, right?
Yeah. So we understand Warner Stellian. We understand skill levels.
Yeah.
That this team can do a delivery, but this team can do installs.
Right.
And have routing automatically be able to assign those jobs. Now, part of that depends whether the POS can give us that data. But if it can, that's how far we can take it.
So there's a lot of, without getting too far ahead in kind of the direction I want to take you, because I can see where we're heading.
Right.
There's a lot of challenges that that you guys can answer, right? So I'm curious, what are some of the, obviously that's in mind too, is
routing's a big one, right? I mean, if you're going to make a commitment to a customer, and if I'm a consumer and you tell me 4 hours, you told me I'm giving up half my day.
Right. Yeah.
During pandemic when we were all working at home, it wasn't a big deal. But we built our routing to be able to hit 2-hour time windows 98% of the time.
Wow.
But with that being said, there's a lot of nuances, right? You're routing a delivery, you're routing a service, you're routing an install. It could be a drop-off. A lot of the retailers today with Wayfair as a competitor, a basic delivery, that's free.
Right.
That means I'm just going to drop it off. But if I'm going to go in your home, things change.
Right.
And that leads to where communication.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the very first platform that put communication in the same platform with routing and everything. It's all our own proprietary software. So it's not parsed out to anybody.
No, that's incredible. Again, the positive of being able to have that team, right, of engineers, they can. You got some minds you can lean on to build those kinds of things.
And your retailers, they'll guide you.
Yeah.
You just have to listen. So we're very solution oriented.
Right.
And if it makes sense for one retailer, it's probably going to make sense for all the retailers.
Right. And having those conversations too, because I mean, things change, but like the fact that you have that retail knowledge and experience, you can have those conversations and understand where they're coming from, I'm sure, and navigate those challenges.
Yeah, you can understand the use case, because if you're going to go to engineers,
right,
you know, they understand building something.
Right.
But giving them the background on why you're building something, you know, it's as simple as selling with features and benefits, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to have the feature, but how does it benefit me?
Right,
you know? So when I tell people, you know, why we built a feature, I give them the use case, because, you know, so I think that's important to understand the perspective.
What's unique is you guys, too, you're constantly innovating is what, you know, I'm hearing, too. So, like, how often do you say there's updates to kind of what you're doing? Is it too often to count?
We have releases every 2 weeks, just about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with enterprise customers, we stagger them a little bit longer and make sure everything's worked out before we roll them out to them. But every 2 weeks. So for example, I mean, the original communication we did was to let them know their time window so they could confirm. But then you realize that the retailer's dealing with a lot of reschedules.
Yeah.
And you've already routed. And your routes were designed to be tight with the most stops on them.
Yeah.
Now you're going to pull off stops off the route. So then we built out communication to send them ahead of time, 2-3 days ahead of time, so they could confirm before you route.
Okay. No,
and that cut down some of our retailers down. One retailer that was running 1,600 stops a day.
Wow.
And having 50 to 60 reschedules, like no shows, and cut them down to less than 10.
Wow. It's incredible.
Huge impact.
Yeah. I mean, again, thinking about the startup mindset, almost like Nationwide, right? We take in feedback and you adjust and you make the product or the service or the offerings, right?
More, you know how it is in business. If you're not evolving, you're
constantly. It's awesome
you're going to be going out of business.
Right. It's awesome to hear that. You know, you guys take that kind of approach. You know, what's the big thing right now? What are you guys working on right now?
Big thing is expanding on the communication. The other thing is partnerships. You know, there are communication platforms out there that we've integrated with. And, you know, we historically have focused on delivery, installs, the last mile part of the process, right? But retailers are starting to say, can you do more of this on the front side? So we're looking into that. But in the meantime, there's awesome partners out there that already do this, and they do it well.
Okay.
So we integrate with them and direct the messaging back. If we send a message, we direct it all back to them so they can do the communication. And that gives the retailer one platform
that's awesome.
to really communicate. So we try to be good partners with the other vendors here as well.
No, that's awesome.
And I think that's important.
Yeah, of course. What for a member or retailer that's interested, if they're not using your platform right now, what's it like to get on board with you?
We're pretty much a easy software. It's an easy UI. User interface to use. I mean, so the first key is really just getting an integration going with the software they have.
Right. The point of sale software.
Yeah. You're
if it does.
Most of them here do. Once we have data, we could train and have somebody routing and using the mobile within 2 days.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up.
But I generally speaking, depending on the size of the retailer, I'd say 30 days for a retailer with 10 trucks or more. 30 days, because when I think about all the areas of a retailer that we provide a benefit to, obviously operations, because they're doing the routing, and if an item's coming back, they need to know what's coming back, so they can deal with what are they going to do with it. So operations, but marketing, because all the messaging and everything we're sending out, like social, like doing a survey with a Google review, there's branding, right? How was your experience? And we can integrate that if somebody has their own as well.
Okay.
So customer service, because when we're what you would call an exception management tool. When things don't go right, we're identifying them in real time as they're happening. So we're able to notify customer service that this event happened, or they can see it live on the dashboard. So there's different ways. Wow. And there's also the ability to two-way communicate with the driver on the road. There's the ability to two-way communicate with the customer at any given time, let them know, hey, this route's running behind, or inclement weather. So there's custom notifications, but also management. Management wants the KPIs. How are we doing this quarter versus
where can we improve?
Last quarter?
Find all those.
So we can improve the whole thing.
Hey, the more data, the better, right?
Yep. Yeah. So really, in some retailers' case, that's one person.
Right. How am I doing? Where do I need to improve, right?
As retailers know, they wear a lot of hats.
Sure do.
I was talking to one retailer last night, and one of the owners was stayed at home to man one of the stores.
Yeah. Wow.
That's what you do.
What it is.
That's what you do in retail.
So what What have you, feedback-wise, from members that are on board and retailers that are using this platform? Is there like a biggest benefit they've realized? Or what, like one thing that you constantly hear? I'm sure, listening to you describe it, the platform can handle a lot and like improve a lot, but is there one area where you constantly are hearing that this is the thing that it's best
Well,
with?
I think route efficiency is one of them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was routing with Thomas guides,
right.
right. Putting notes on the pages. So the routing, I mean, we some of our big retailers, we route 2,000 stops in 2 minutes.
It's incredible.
I route 50 stops in 3 seconds.
Jesus.
And that's with machine learning, right? We look at traffic patterns every day backwards 2 weeks.
Wow.
Every weekdays versus weekends. So we can predict when you're going to get there.
Wow.
And so that's important.
Yeah.
But I think the pictures are huge. I remember early on, a customer in Oregon delivered a leather pull-up sofa. And if you know about leather pull-up, it's got striations and barbed wire marks, and it's natural.
Yeah.
And they get out there three hours away, and the customer complains and says, what are all these marks? And the driver goes, well, we can take it back and exchange it. Oh. Well, you exchange it, you're going to have the same problem. So the picture was uploaded to DispatchTrack.
Yep.
They talk to the owner. The owner says, let me call you back. He goes to the floor, takes a picture of the floor, uploads it, then has a conversation with the customer, and the customer goes, nobody explained it to me.
It saved the
delivery right then and there.
Yeah.
Do you imagine if they had to take another one back, would have had the same problem first off. But that a leather pull-up sofa wholesale cost is over $1,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
it
incredible.
paid for the whole program in a year.
That's incredible. Man, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it's just neat too, because you mentioned it. Things evolve, right? So the industry evolves, and technology plays a big part in that too. And this just being, it's cool to see where it came from. You were looking to solve something that you wanted to solve, right? And now you've developed a platform.
And I think that high level of communication with the customer is also a huge benefit. The consumer today, nobody wants to answer their phone.
But if you can look on an app.
But if you can just see a text.
Yep.
And now you can put branding in the text. You can put the image of the company in the text. So, I mean, now that's branded, so they know where the message is coming from. We're even looking into branding the phone call.
Wow.
To the phone call message coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, it's awesome, Bob. I appreciate you taking the time. It's awesome to learn about your platform. We'll have links and everything underneath for those listening or watching to go learn more about DispatchTrack. But appreciate you sharing your story, hopping on the podcast.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Doing it, man. This is great.
Again, we love the group. So
hey, absolutely. We'll talk again soon. Awesome, and thanks again to Bob. Like I said, cool story, one that has its roots in sort of that independent business mindset, and founded as a solutions-based product that has become a really important vendor partner for us here at Nationwide Marketing Group. So appreciate him taking that time during prime time to sit down with us, and as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.